Hello and welcome to the TMZ podcast. I'm Charlie Cotton, and joining me on the podcast today is our Lothario lawyer, Derek Kaufman.
Good to be here, Charlie. You must have some legal stories up your sleeve? Up that tattered sleeve of yours?
Well, yes, I do, because, the biggest story in the country today seems to be this UnitedHealthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, who was assassinated by a guy who, now we're learning, had put messages, like an inscription, on the bullets he used to shoot Brian.
This story is getting stranger and stranger. First, he's assassinated in Midtown Manhattan, the busiest part of Manhattan, outside of a hotel. There's, images of this guy pointing a gun directly at him. It's got a silencer. It looks like it's out of the movie Goodfellas, and just offing this guy. Apparently, the gun jams. He quickly, fixes the gun and is able to shoot him. The guy ends up dying. Now, on the bullets, apparently, are inscribed these words: deny, depose, defend. And if you're in the insurance industry, at least two of those make a lot of sense, because deny and defend is what's called sort of the policy of how insurance companies make money. They deny your claims and they defend against your claims so that they don't have to pay it out. They collect your premiums. It's why people say insurance is a racket. All they do is collect our money and they never pay out.
Right.
So people hate insurance companies. These CEOs are always in some sort of danger because they are the heads of companies that people generally don't like.
But
that's a general thing of a lot of people.
So it's like tax collectors.
That's
like
right. That's
CEOs or parking inspectors. CEO, like,
it's not a happy job. Though. You think about Amazon, Jeff Bezos. People love Amazon. They get to order stuff and it comes to their door. So he's not as hated as someone who might head up an insurance company. But in any event, these three words, two of them are words that are the title of a book called "Delay, Deny, Defend: Why Insurance Companies Don't Pay Claims and What You Can Do About It," which sounds like a confrontational, aggressive book about what is wrong with insurance companies. And the fact that two of those words are on these bullets is raising a lot of eyebrows, that this looked like a targeted hit by someone who maybe hated Brian Thompson or hated the insurance industry in general. The investigation is very early now, and so they're talking to a lot of people. We've done another story about a woman posting about another insurance CEO before this assassination, and people thought it incited violence against her. So people are just looking under every stone.
Because the assassin obviously is still at large, even though there's
escaped on a city bike in Manhattan in Central Park,
and he's all covered up. But you can kind of see him.
You see his eyes, at least. There's those images of him talking on the phone or in a Starbucks.
Yeah.
So but he looks kind of like a hitman. Now, in retrospect, you see someone in a backpack with full face covering. But remember, it's cold in New York, and people dress that way in the winter.
And since COVID and everything like that, masks and stuff are much more acceptable.
Very acceptable. This story is going to be hard to solve. You want the bullets. I just think his covering and everyone looking at his eyes, Manhattan is so busy. There's a lot of anonymity in a big city. And the fact that the guy got away, got on the city bike, I don't think he left many prints. He looks like a professional, it looks like a guy who knows how to cover his tracks, even though he engraved on the bullets. What do you do with that? He could have done that anywhere with a needle, so it's hard to find.
It's just crazy. I've never heard of someone taking the time and effort to get out. How do you even engrave a bullet? I
didn't know it was possible. It sounded like something out of a movie, right?
Totally.
Like you're watching Cape Fear or something, and someone engraving bullets and putting tattoos on their fingers or something. It's wild stuff.
So is it possible this guy could be a disgruntled employee, or just maybe someone's claim who didn't go through? Or
I think anything is on the table right now. I think they're going to look into disgruntled employees. I think first and foremost, they'll probably look into his spouse. Apparently, they may have been separated or living separately at some point. She sounds distraught. I don't think anyone is suspecting anyone concretely yet, but they have to look into everyone. Disgruntled employees, people who hate insurance, but it is a gigantic insurance company. There's a lot of people who are upset over UnitedHealthcare probably denying their claims. Where do you start?
That's just so
They'll look into threats as well, like people who have made threats either on Twitter or sent threats to the company, things like that.
Do you think this case is so big in part because people's hatred of insurance companies is very relatable, and you get super mad if they deny something? You're like, huh? I pay how much a month or a year, and now you're denying me when I really need you. And so for someone to be that upset about something an insurance company did, that they would resort to these lengths, and it's not even a crime of passion, but he inscribed the bullets. It's just
sending a message with the bullets.
He's sending a message. That's why I think this case is so big. And as we learn more about who the assassin is, if we learn more, we've got to find out who this guy is. If we don't, then it's just like nuts.
It's extremely hard to solve a crime like this because, as you said, a lot of people hate insurance companies. Is there a part of this that you're thinking looks a little on the nose, like inscribing the bullets with messages indicating your hatred of insurance companies to throw off the scent of another motive? Like, we're conspiracy-minded here. You are as well. Like, not to say it has a whiff of Jussie Smollett. Obviously, someone actually perished here. This is very different. It's a very serious case. But if you wanted to look like just a disgruntled guy who had your claim denied, but you were disgruntled for another reason, he was a guy you hated because he didn't, pay your bets, or you had some relationship with him, or a jilted lover, you might make it look a certain way and then do this. It gets your mind racing.
That the bullet inscription is just like so. I've never heard of it.
Because why would a hitman want to leave evidence like that?
Yeah, and I don't know what it means. The inscription,
it's almost a lot. It's pretty on the nose.
Well, yeah, TMZ is covering this story back to front. It's the biggest story in America, and also everything on our site, I think, for the next 24 hours is trying to cover this.
I agree. Stay tuned. We are grinding away on this story, so there'll be a lot of updates.
But now to the celebrity stories. Since you tuned into the TMZ podcast, let's talk about Khloe Kardashian, because she has rekindled her feud with Blac Chyna's mum, Tokyo Toni. So obviously, Blac Chyna has a kid with Rob Kardashian, Khloe's brother, and that did not end so well. In fact, I think it ended in violence.
But guess what? Tokyo's grandma for life. That's just the way it works. She's part of their family.
She's part of their family for life. Well, Khloe went on Instagram and commented about Tokyo going out of her way to sort of virtue signal about how Tokyo posts when she goes to feed the homeless with her granddaughter. So with Khloe's kid, she posts about them going to feed the homeless. We're such good people. And Khloe writes on Instagram, "Watch out, don't do your good deeds publicly to be admired by others, for you will lose the reward from your Father in heaven." Matthew 6:1-4.
Why do you want to tangle with Tokyo? Tokyo goes nuts sometimes, and this was a good example of, she delicately comes in there with some scripture. She's shading her very clearly, saying, don't post about your good deeds or they're not good deeds. That's essentially what that verse means. And how does Tokyo respond?
Let's have a listen.
Let's not forget again that time you brought the homeless man to your house, girl. You brought the homeless man to your house. Was that a movement? But it sounds like you said you don't do that. You put him on TV too.
Bro, she went deep in the archive. She picked an old Kardashians episode where Khloe brought a homeless man to her house and gave him a makeover, but didn't really change his life other than changing his appearance. And she's saying, look at you. You talking about me going to feed the homeless. I was actually out there probably, slinging meals for people who need them over the holidays. You did some makeover. I'm the wrong one. I love how Tokyo responds. She's like, you don't want to come for me. I know where all the secrets are hidden. I've watched your show. You picked the wrong one.
I mean, I kind of side with Tokyo a bit here.
So do I.
I mean, because Khloe said also, just because we don't post about it doesn't mean we aren't doing anything. Sending you love and blessings. So the fact that I hate when someone corrects you.
Yes.
And then the person who corrects you is actually wrong. You know what I mean? It's like you went out of your way to correct me when you don't have the facts straight. It kind of feels like, Khloe, you have exploited a homeless person on tape in the past, and now you're coming at me publicly for maybe Tokyo is posting about it because she wants, some praise.
Sure.
But she's also doing a good thing.
Yes.
So I don't know why. It's like what do you call it? Glass houses.
Yes, it's casting the first stone.
Yes.
When you look, Khloe has lived an extraordinarily public life. It's not hard to do what Tokyo did, to find a counterexample or something where now Khloe looks hypocritical. If you're spitting Bible verse, you better be pure. You better be an angel.
Yeah.
And one thing I know about the Kardashians is they didn't get this famous being absolutely above board, beyond reproach, pure angels. That's not who they are. It's not why they're famous. I'm not saying she did anything wrong by giving that homeless man a makeover,
right?
But don't come out on the thin ice thing. She wandered out and she's like, hey, your good deeds are actually just virtue signaling, and Tokyo swatted at her. And what's interesting is when you take on Tokyo, when you take on anyone, Tokyo's not afraid of them.
No.
She's like, I'm grandma. If I say this stuff, what are you going to do? Cancel me? That's my grandkid. You can't cancel me. I'm in your family.
Forever.
So I can say anything forever. Why do you want to pick on grandma? why are you picking on grandma? Because Khloe shouldn't have picked this fight. That even though what she said may have had some merit about what Tokyo was doing, feeding the homeless and posting about it, it's not a fight you need.
I mean,
why do you want that smoke?
I don't like people who do charity and post about it. I prefer people who do it like, in the shadow. I feel like that's
although charity's
honorable.
charity.
Although it still does the same. Each dollar does the same amount of good, whether you publicize it or not.
Yes.
But I think that's a little icky. I just love Tokyo, I think. And
I do too.
Like the Kardashians, we've talked about their brand going downhill a little. Maybe not in terms of the products they can sell, but in terms of the entertainment, the celebrity, their TV show isn't what it once was.
This is the first time in a while we've talked about them, and we are the hub of Kardashian Central.
They need to get Tokyo and Blac Chyna on the Kardashians. Like if they were recurring characters, and we would see them beef. Like, that's what we want to see.
Yeah, because the Kardashians they never get down in the muck anymore. They're so, highfalutin. They're so rich. They're so wealthy that they're losing their accessibility. What made that show special is like, oh, this is how families interact. This is a dynamic we all like to watch. Now they just seem like they marry celebrities. They marry basketball players. It's hard for me to watch it and relate. Yeah, you just live a nice life. You're very, very wealthy. You dress scantily and ride dirt bikes. Okay.
Okay, on to our last story.
Yes.
A very Merry Christmas to Diddy. We have the menu and the itinerary of what he will be doing behind bars over the holidays. So obviously he wanted to get out. He wanted bail, but last week it was denied. And now we know
for the fourth time. So
for the fourth, was it fourth time?
I think it was the fourth time.
Third time.
Only? Third time.
We're hearing the third time. So what he's going to do on Christmas Day? Card games and dominoes. They're going to do a competition with the inmates, card games and dominoes. There's also going to be a pickup basketball game, 3-on-3.
I think some people will feel like upset. Why do they get to have fun in prison? They're supposed to be paying their penance. First of all, with Diddy, he hasn't been convicted. So, what if he's innocent? I wouldn't bet on it at this point, but he shouldn't be punished before he's actually convicted of a crime. He's just being held there because they say he's a risk to witnesses and a risk of flight. So to me, I'm okay with this. You get to play spades and you get to play some dominoes and you get some cranberry sauce just like anybody else.
And the meal he'll have, baked Cornish hen.
Ooh.
Sounds nice.
Yeah.
Macaroni and cheese, cranberry sauce, dinner rolls, love a dinner roll, and a holiday dessert. And for lunch, then at lunch, they go back to their prison meals.
Yeah.
So they get one meal. That's nice that they get one Christmas meal at least.
Yeah, what's weird is there's some very sort of unfortunate or poor families that won't even eat that well for one meal. And he's in there living it up after his freak offs and having a nice meal. That part rubs me a little bit the wrong way. A little bit. He's having a Cornish hen. Some people are eating in and out, man.
True. Do they get to hang stockings in their cell?
What do you get in your stocking? A little
Santa, the cookies.
A little extra toilet wine for you.
Oh, true. All right, let's read out some of the comments here. Justin, on the UnitedHealthcare CEO being murdered, says, that's a scary thought that the guy is still at large. I do feel like they're going to find him quickly.
Justin,
I do too.
It is terrifying. I think the second sentence you said is, you hope they find them quickly. I think that's your mind saying, man, guys like that need to be off the street. I'm not so sure you find someone like that quickly.
Don't we, when cases explode like this and they're the biggest case in the country, don't we usually find the guy?
Yeah. Look, the walls are closing in on this guy. Everyone has all their attention on him. I just think it's hard to find a needle in a haystack. Manhattan is a big city, and it's easy to be kind of anonymous there.
On the Khloe situation, David says that he's Team Tokyo on this, and I think a lot of people agree. Tokyo is doing something good, and she shouldn't have to be called out by it, especially by her, is she a daughter-in-law? How are they related? Are they?
No, that is her mother. That is Khloe's mother-in-law.
No, because.
Right?
No. It's Rob's mother-in-law.
Rob, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. So it's Rob's mother-in-law.
So it's your auntie-in-law?
Yes, it's your aunt-in-law, I believe.
I don't know what it is.
But look, I usually will say Tokyo goes off the deep end, maybe clout chases a little bit. All she did was post that she was doing a good deed, and Khloe wandered into this. So I'm on Team Tokyo. She's allowed to respond.
Also, that it's not really Khloe who's typing this. It's got to be Rob.
Oh,
don't you think it's Rob? Don't you think that Khloe's probably Rob's messenger?
Yeah, there's a little. They are very close, right? That's one of the storylines of the show is that Khloe and Rob are very close. This is a little shuttle diplomacy or shuttle fighting. Yeah.
And Rob can't have a go at his own mother-in-law because you know what'll happen next. But so you get your sister.
It's a proxy fight.
I think it's a proxy fight.
I like it.
On Diddy, Heather D says, I wonder what the vibe is with the other prisoners around Diddy. Are they starstruck or avoiding him in the shower?
I wonder what that's like too. I bet he's a massive star. I used to read articles when Bernie Madoff was alive that he was a rock star. People loved him. There's a sort of like admiration for certain criminals. I think Diddy's probably in that category. You're just starstruck. If I met Diddy, I'd be a little bit starstruck.
Totally. And it's not like other inmates are like looking down upon them or they have a moral ground to look down. Like they've also done stuff maybe even worse. So it's not like they're going to Diddy, how could you do those freak offs?
100%. The moral compass points in odd directions in a prison. Yeah.
Do they have baby oil in prisons?
I bet you can get it in the commissary. I bet he gets some in a stocking stuffer.
Merry Christmas. Okay, thank you, Derek.
That was fun.
And we'll see you guys here tomorrow. Goodbye.